What's up? I'm finally going to do my tutorial on how to kind of go from beginner to pro in Supercross in MX Simulator. So to begin with, the first thing you will need to work on is consistency. No consistency, no good riding. That's simple as that. Personally, I just started to being consistent, not recently, but when I decided I'm going to be better, that was the trick. Just staying consistent and not crashing is A and O in riding. So just practicing going slow. Let me give you an example here. That's actually really helping. Go over, brake, nothing fancy, no whips, just going slow, not doing anything crazy. It helps way more than you think, because as right now I'm sort of building up a flow, and I could say that it was in low speed. I'm building up a flow, not screwing it up. And that's actually what it's all about. Building up the flow, the confidence, being able to ride a lap without crashing, being able to ride 2 laps without crashing. I mean, if I would get in a flow on this track, I could probably pull off 10 laps without crashing. Mainly because this is an easy track, but let's see here, I got a 53. If this would have been 1 year ago, I would have been really happy with that time, even if that was a fast time for me. So just practice. But the first thing we're actually going to take a specific look at is whoops. These whoops are really simple. JLV's whoops are for the most time just to go through. This particular track is Jacksonville 2011 Round 11. It's a really simple track. It's good. It's really good to learn stuff on. So whoops, especially JLVs, you can almost always just go through them, not lean one way or another, just go straight into the whoops and not have to lean. So at this point I'm just keeping the gas at half open, pushing the trigger down halfway. Another thing is I do not have automatic shifting, so you can see here automatic shifting is to no. If you would have automatic shifting to yes, and especially if you're playing on a keyboard, the bike will accelerate very much and leaving you with a very high speed out of the whoops, and it's really hard to control. So I strongly suggest you learn to play with manual shifting. It's really not that hard as soon as you get used to it. It's a little bit awkward in the beginning, but as soon as you get used to it, it is sweet. So for JLV's whoops, it's pretty much only just go through them, trying to keep the balance sideways when you get in. If you are going to new tracks with bigger whoops and more difficult ones, it is good if you can either perhaps lean the rider back on each whoop, or just try to keep a smooth line over, just as JLVs. But it does also depend on track, so you can't have one technique that works for all whoops. Anaheim 1 2014 is a prime example. The whoops are separated with like 2 bike lengths, so it's really hard to make them, and you gotta just practice and find what's working for you. So that was whoops. Just keep it steady, try to balance the bike. You don't have to lean either forward or backward, but in some cases it might actually be preferred to lean backwards in each whoop. To go to rhythm sections, it's not really a lot of things to say. It's better to take it one step down and lose 1 second on a section instead of losing 10 seconds because you crashed. I mean, what's fastest? This or just doing a double and then triple? it's way faster to not crash at any given time. So keep that in mind, consistency. There's not really much you can say. Jumps, you gotta time them. Step on, step off. On new tracks, you might find it easier to seat bounce off some step on, step off if there is no kick. If there is a kick, you can pretty much just ride off usually. Try the time stuff. And not panic if you come up short. Berms, you should brake in, gas out. That's pretty much as in any racing game, any car in real life. You brake into the turn and then cut down to accelerate out. Like that. Not really much to do. Some people find it easy to stand, some people find it easy to sit, but generally brake into the turn. So let's see here. Brake. And about here, sit down. Playing in slow motion. I had too much speed going into. Let's take it again. So, gonna sit up, stand up, lean backwards, start braking, sitting down, squaring up sort of, or turning down, accelerating, and then do whatever happens. So that's berms. Stand up into them while braking, sit down, get down a little bit, and then stand up again. Not really too difficult. Next up on the list is jumps, I guess. And a usual precaution for me is to lean back in most of the jumps phases, because that's the easiest way to keep the balance, in my opinion. Is just to slightly squeeze the rider back as you approach the jump, and not like leaning forward and backward max out, just slightly. I don't know if you could see it, but the rider went slightly backward. Let's go try and do this in a slow motion. So backward, lean forward. I'm using the rear brake at the moment. I don't think you can see it. Over jumping like crazy. Trying to land it. But you'll get a feeling for that as time goes by and you get experienced. Let's try again. Lean backward. I do hit the front brake right now because I can see that I will land it. Otherwise that's not recommended to do. Again, slightly push back. And I know this looks weird and all, but you will get a feeling for it and you'll develop your own technique, but slightly pushing the rider backwards will help him from doing that. I guess the last part is seat bounce, and everybody has their own seat bounce technique. Personally, I have a twist to mine. I usually lean back and stand up at the same time. So I'm not going to do a perfect seat bounce here, but it usually looks something like, at this point I'm just perfectly, and there okay, so I realized that wasn't the best thing I could have said. Let's try again. So I'm sitting down. I guess at about this point I'm starting to lean back. It was a little bit early, so try again. I'm sorry, I'm trying to shoot this in one run. I really hate to edit things, so let's try one more time. About this point I would say I lean back and stand up. Move forward to shift the weight. As you can see, I'm going to land flat and nice on both wheels. If you don't shift the weight forward, it may be really awkward, and you can, I don't know, land on your rear wheel. So that's a really good test pretty much. If you can jump that double, you know you can seat bounce. And that's on a 250, on a 450 that's quite easy. So just in case it's barely. So when I approach a jump, when I start to get up to the face of it, I lean back and I stand right up. I start to lean back before the rider stands up, like leaning back, stand up, and then counter shift the weight forward. So it's not really a whole lot of practice other than timing and consistency, where I really want to push consistency. As I said, I went from not being able to ride one single lap without crashing to, I don't know, do perhaps 3 to 4 laps without any crash, and it drastically lowered my lap times as well, just to find the flow and not crash. It's boring, I know, but you gotta start somewhere, and not crashing is the absolutely best way to start. This track, I really like it. It's Jacksonville Round 11 2011. I do recommend to play Supercross tracks from each year, 2010 included, because the more you ride, the more experience you will get. Each year has slightly different touch to it, meaning that you will get a broader variety of experience, riding a lot of different tracks. I really suck with that. I've barely played any Supercross tracks except for the official ones, if you want to call them that. So I often really suck when I get to something else. So play a lot of different tracks, that's really important. Be consistent, that's pretty much all I gotta say. I hope you can get something from this video. I know it's probably long, it's probably messy, I don't explain things too good, I know. But generally, there's not much to explain. I guess the whoops is the hardest part, but try to, if the rider gets sideways, try to slightly, gently push the stick to the other side to make him go the other way. If that doesn't work, you will just have to try again. Just for the sake of it, I'm going to load up Anaheim 1 with a really big whoops to show you what I was talking about earlier, with different whoops needing different things. If you compare to the whoops I was in just a few seconds ago, you can see that these ones are really big. And if I'm just going to try to go through them, I will most likely crash. That's been my experience earlier. As you see, I just get shifted around. I know I had too much speed. So just for the fun of it, I'm going to go them once again. Usually I like to go through whoops in tapped out first or second gear, usually second, but in this case first might actually help. As you can see, it doesn't go too fast, but I could go through every single whoop. I hit each one of them, both front and back wheel, and that's what's mattered in this case. Is it worth to go faster to make half a second in the whoops, or is it better to not crash and know that you probably saved yourself a few seconds? In this whoop section particularly, I shift my weight back in each whoop to sort of make the rider stay on top of them, otherwise he'll easily go down. Trying to do this in slow motion. So you can see I missed the first one. I am doing a few more things trying to save this, and I couldn't save it. But as you can see, trying to mix different gears and stuff. Going first gear through here I know is solid, I know it's slow, but it works pretty much 10 times out of 10. Going second gear, half throttle works pretty good, but not as good. As you can see, I hit each whoop really solid. I know this video was more of a just talking and riding other than maybe specific tutorial, but I hope I really got my points through and I could tell you what I think is important. I hope to see you on the tracks and see you on the championships for the hunt of winning the championships. Remember, consistency, practice and variety, where consistency is the main part. So, as I said, if there's one thing you should remember, be consistent, do not crash. Hope you could learn something from this video and have a great day. See you in my next video.